Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 5th session of Cambridge's Catch-Up Fun series of webinars that are specifically aimed at teachers of young learners. Welcome to all of you. Just want to draw your attention to two aspects of Zoom. Some of you are already familiar with it, I'm sure. If you look at the chat box, that is the great place for you to put any comments. Can I ask that you also select send to all panelists and attendees? I think as a default, you may find that you are sending your message only to the panelists. So please do put send to all panelists and attendees. If you have any specific questions, don't put them in the chat box. Please put those in the Q&A box. Again, you should find all of the Q&A buttons and the chat button at the bottom of your screen. So my name is Ivan Sorrentino. I am the ELT and Education Marketing Director for Cambridge University Press in Asia, and I am based in Japan. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to today's session by Allen Davenport, which is 5 fun types of activities to make sure every young learner is enjoying the classroom. Many of you will be asking about the recording, and we will be able to provide you with not only a link to the recording, but also the certificate as well for you. And that will come to you via email in about 7 days' time. Today's session will be by Allen Davenport, and Allen Davenport has been with Cambridge University Press now for around 10 years, a little bit less than 10 years. And he is our professional learning and development manager for Southeast Asia, based in Bangkok in Thailand. He's been actively involved in the region for nearly 2 decades as a teacher, a training consultant, an academic director, and an examiner for numerous international exam boards. Allen holds a bachelor's degree in anthropology and a master's degree in education with a focus on student development. He's been a featured speaker for us for many international conferences and events, and his professional interests include the development of creativity in learners and investigating how English language teaching is adapting to meet the changing needs of language learners. So, without further ado, I would like to hand over to the speaker for today's session, Mr. Allen Davenport. If you could, please greet Allen with a clap. If you could write clap into the chat box, that would be great. And thank you, Allen.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, everybody, for giving your time today. So great to see people from all around the world here. I'm coming to you from Bangkok, Thailand. That's where I live. That's where I taught. Again, I'm mainly responsible for the Southeast Asia region, but I'm so happy to see people from Iran, from Peru, from Ecuador, Ola, from Mexico. Just so great to see you all giving us your time and caring enough to want to come and spend your time off on a webinar to talk about, the types of activities that we could do to make sure that our young learners are enjoying the classroom. I am going to go ahead and stop my video just for bandwidth issues. I might pop up here and there, but just for now, you've seen me and I'll wave hello. I'm just going to go ahead and stop the video, but you should still be able to hear my voice. And I want to start with, we're talking about fun, so a bit of fun. And I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about this. I don't want you to write anything in the chat yet. Don't write in the chat yet, because I really want you to have a think about this. I have 7 different activities on this screen. You can see what they are here. Maybe it's eat at a famous 5-star restaurant. Ooh la la. Maybe it's just playing a game by yourself on your mobile phone, or playing sport with your friends. Or maybe it's reading research about English language teaching, running a 5K race, really doing the exercise and getting out there. Maybe it's like gardening, going out in the back and growing some roses or tomatoes or carrots or something, or watching a scary movie, not just any movie, but a scary movie. So what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to have a think, and I want you to yourself, I want you to just think to yourself, which of these would be the most fun for you? And which one would be the least fun? Maybe you like all of them, maybe you hate all of them, but we can still rank where you'd want them. So what would be first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh? Don't type in the chat box just yet. Just have a think. All right, now carefully in the chat box, I want to make sure that we have it to where it says all panelists and attendees. And what I'd like for you to do is I would like for you in the chat box to type what your number one was. You can abbreviate it. Maybe you just say eat or playing game or playing sport. There you go. So I got it from Hesty, says play, says play sport, eat. I got gardening. I got playing sport, a lot of sport, reading research. Yeah. Restaurant, playing game on the phone, garden, eat. Watching a scary movie, says April. Ooh. Sport seems to be very popular here. Interesting. All right, now go ahead and stop real quick. Stop, I'm gonna let it clear, but if you're typing, don't hit enter yet. Stop. Oh, that's amazing. You all are so great. I wish my students and sometimes other teachers did this. Because now what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you in the chat box to type what your number 7 was. What is the worst thing? What is the thing that you'd say, please don't make me do that? Go ahead and type that in the chat box now. Running, watching a scary movie, gardening, playing a video game. Look at that. Playing a game on your phone, running, reading research. Running a 5K race, big no, I'm with you, no. That's it. Watching a scary movie or running, I can't decide. Look, thank you very much for participating. I'm going to go ahead and close the chat box for me now because I get distracted, but I'd like for you all to keep on using the chat box during this if you'd like to talk to each other. Let's be active, let's be involved, and let's be engaged. And again, thank you very much for that. I think you've proven my point though. And my point here is, if you've noticed, there were some people who said playing a game on our phone is the number 1 thing. And for some people, playing a game on their phone was the number 7 thing. And there are even some people out there who, had watching a scary movie as number 1, and other people who said, no way. Now, just for fun, I'm going to show you what mine are. These aren't the right answers. These are my answers. This is how I would put it. I would put playing a game on a phone as number 1. I like games. I like board games. I like PlayStation games. I like video games. I grew up with video games. I love them. But number 2 for me would actually be reading research. I love it. I mean, I get excited about it. I really like to make sure that my practice is kind of theory based. I don't want it to just be pure research. I want it to apply in the classroom, but I love reading research. It just really gets me excited. But number 7 for me was one that was really popular for you all, playing sport with friends. I know it's bad, I know it's wrong, but I don't like exercising. I don't like to run unless something is chasing me. And then I kind of debate it. I'm not a big exercise person. And watching a scary movie, that might be low for me as well. I don't understand paying money to have anxiety. I can have that naturally in life just by, going out on the roads in Bangkok at rush hour. So these are just things, that's different for me. And I think that this is important because I think all of us were drawn to this webinar, and I wanted to put it together because we want to have fun in our classroom, and especially fun with young learners in our classroom. But if we really looked at the title of this webinar, it's called 5 types of activities. Because in order to make sure that all of our learners are included, we have to understand that everybody's idea of fun is not the same. And while that's true for us as adults, that's also true for our young learners. I distinctly remember in my elementary school, I didn't like all the games that we had to do with running. I did not like PE. I wasn't good at it. I was kind of a nerd. I was smarter. I would rather do math than PE. Isn't that crazy? But they would sometimes want to reward us with extra time outside or extra recess or other things like that. And I'm like, this isn't fun for me. So it's true for us as people, and it's true for the young learners that we teach as well. So I think that we have to realize a few things about fun. And fun itself, for some people, is sometimes hard and boring. I think of marathon runners. My friend Andrea, who does my job kind of in Spain, she loves to do ultra marathons. She runs 5Ks. It is the worst thing in the world for me. I would never want to do it. But she loves it. And I'll say, what do you love about it? And she'd say, oh, it's hard work and it's not fun going through it, but I just love doing it. Fun is sometimes hard and it's sometimes boring. Fun is sometimes hard, like I said, hard work. Think of the activities that we ranked. And one that we didn't even put on there, one of the things that my mother loves doing, she loves watching sad movies. My mom will pay money to be sad and cry. For me, where's the fun in that? But my mom, she'll say, I love a good cry. Fun is not always laughter for some people. I also worry about fun when we chase it too much in the classroom, or when we put it front and center and we don't link it to the learning. I've been in many classrooms and I've seen frequently teachers who will say something like, now we've finished playing the game, let's work on some grammar. And what's that saying to the students in the classroom? That we have fun to break up the bad thing that's English. And I don't think that fun should be used in that way. I think that we have a misunderstanding about fun in that respect. But overall, what I want to say is, if we're really going to talk about the types of fun activities that we bring in, we need to understand that making learning fun does not always mean making our learners instantly happy. Fun is complex, which I've tried to demonstrate. Fun is personal. Fun can be an experience itself, something that we enjoy while we're doing it, or it can be the result of that experience, or it could be both. Like I said, my friend Andrea, she doesn't have fun while she's running the marathon, but she has such a good feeling afterwards. I kind of envy her, because I don't think I will ever have that kind of fun. And fun, the reason why I think we want to have it is because fun is motivating, hopefully. But in order to make sure that fun is motivating, like I said, we have to make sure that we're catering to all the different types of fun that we can have in the classroom. And again, I love research, and this isn't going to be a huge research-driven presentation. Don't worry, I'm going to give you some practical ideas and some practical activities, but I have to give a credit to an inspiration that I had with this. And it comes from this article, Fun, 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 Types of Fun, Attitudes Towards Fun, written by McManus and Furnham. And I'm putting it here because this inspired me to really think about the types of fun that we can have in the classroom. This study, you could criticize me for using it in some very valid ways. It wasn't done on young learners. It was done on adolescents at university. And they didn't plan it for, teaching young learners English, but I still think a lot of the concepts are transferable. So I'm not using exactly their wording. I'm borrowing enough of it that I feel that I had to give credit for them for inspiring me when we talk about the types of fun that we can have in the classroom and the types of activities that we need to be bringing in to make sure that all learners are having all the kinds of fun. So I just wanted to give credit for that. What I need from you now is I want to share with you 5 types of fun. And so if you're ready, I need 5 people to type the number 5 in the chat box for me, not the Q&A, the chat box. If I can see 5 number, I saw it from Jody, thank you. Maria, I see you. Evelyn, thank you. You wrote it out. Min, I see you. Karen, I'm getting lots of 5s. Hesty, Normala, thank you all for very much. Because what I want to share with you are 5 different types of fun, or 5 different ideas about fun. So let's start out with the first type of fun that I think that we need to be bringing in with our young learners. And again, I want to point out that I said planning for fun. There's lots of fun things that happen with our young learners in the classroom spontaneously, and that's great. But I'm talking about the type of fun that we can try to plan for, the type of activities we can put in our lesson plan in order to make sure that fun is happening. Whether it's just for fun's sake or whether it's related to the learning, I think that fun should be planned for. And the first idea is that we should plan for sociability. This is true of all people, but I think it's really true of our young learners, and especially if we're still teaching remotely or online, making sure that we have some chance for them to interact and be social and see the other in the classroom, so that they don't feel like they're just one of 20 individuals talking to the teacher, but they feel that they're in a group together. We need to plan for sociability. And I think that there are definite ways that we can do this. First and foremost, I think that even at the pre-A1 level, we need to teach at the appropriate level, the language for collaboration in English, the language for working together. We need to teach them, if we want them to play games in the class, if we want them to work together, we need to teach them functional language and what it means. Language like, do you know, or it's your turn, or please wait. So these may not always be in every single course book that we have, but I think it's really good to think about what is it that learners really need to say if they're playing this game, if they need thinking time, and bring that in for extra as chunks of language. And just let them know we say this when we want the next person to go on their turn. We say, it's your turn. Or if you're finished, you can say, over to you, or it's your turn now. And we can teach this functional language and lots of language for collaboration. I also think that we need to let students work together on tasks and exercises more. And this may seem like something that we go, yes, of course we do. But I've noticed that when it comes to exam preparation, especially if we're preparing for young learners' exams, we have this fear of them working together because they're not going to take the test by themselves. So why should they be working on the tasks by themselves, or with somebody else? They're going to have to take the test by themselves. Isn't that bad? I don't think so. I think that there's a lot of incidental learning that can still happen when we let people work together from the start, and not just working by yourself and checking answers, but finding moments where if we know the task is going to be difficult, to go ahead and from the beginning let students work together on tasks and exercises in the course book. I would say when it comes to sociability, be careful. When I observe teachers, again, I'm mostly around Southeast Asia, but I'm sure it happens around the world. A lot of times people think they're being sociable in class, or they're planning sociable activities because they're playing team games. And a lot of these games, though, are games where we break up learners into teams, but one person's doing something at a time. Like maybe, they line up and one person at the front of the line has to answer and their team gets a point. Well, that is them being a team, but it's not exactly what I would call sociability. It's not all the group working together at the same time. It's kind of one person representing the team. And we have to be careful. I'm not saying those activities are bad, but we do have to be careful when we're doing that, because sometimes those team games can actually have the reverse effect that we want, not just because it's competition, but because if one learner feels the pressure of they don't want to let the rest of their team down, or I got it wrong, so now my team doesn't want me on their team anymore, that can actually have some negative, unfun emotions to it. So just because we're playing team games doesn't mean that we're actually being sociable during it. And I think that that's important in our planning. It's okay to play some team games where we have it like that, tic-tac-toe or hangman, where they do one at a time. But we also need to make sure that we're planning sociability where they're all working together at the same time on the task, not just one at a time. Another thing that I would say is useful is to keep records of interaction and make sure nobody is getting left out. On your lesson plan, as you're going through it, just kind of take notice, notes for yourself of who's wanting to interact with who, or, if they're playing at recess, who's playing with who and who's not playing with who, and make sure that we're making connections in our class when we're having them work together so that everybody feels like that they're belonging. And one of the things that I really like to do that was practical, and I stole this and I can't remember for the life of me where I stole it from, so I apologize, is to make an in common chart. And what we did was, like, for the vocabulary that was at the beginning of the unit, maybe it was food and it was like banana and apple and oranges. I on the bulletin board would put like banana, apple, oranges, and the names of all the students on the same bulletin board. And whoever said they like bananas, we'd take yarn and we would connect the yarn from the banana to all the names that liked bananas. And the apple, to all the people who liked apples. And we can do this again and again with different vocabulary, with, how you travel to school. Do you come by bus? And it just is a visual representation that we have in class of what we have in common, because knowing that we're not in the class alone can sometimes lead to that ideas of sociability. I love activities like this. This comes from Fun Skills. I worry because these are photocopiable things that are in the back of the book that sometimes they get skipped over. But things like this, where students just go around and say to each other, do you like painting? Do you like playing board games? And they keep a list of how many people like it, and they make a bar chart. Yes, we're learning some math skills, but we're also comparing ourselves, and we're seeing how we stack up against everybody else. I think that this is a good chance for sociability, not just because we're being social and asking questions and answers, but because we're getting data about the whole group. And that makes me feel like, this is something fun in the class. It may not be fun, exciting, like woohoo fun, but for some of our learners, it's a type of fun to compare yourself to where you were with the other people, this sociable fun. The other thing that I would say when using course books, just on this type of sociable fun, is please use the teacher's book, whatever teacher's book you have, because sometimes we can miss out on opportunities for sociable fun. This is, again, from Fun Skills Level 5. And the unit starts right away with, look at the photos, what can you see, tell a friend. And I'm worried sometimes that in our classrooms, the teachers may take that literally, and they'll say to their students, okay, look at the photos, find a friend, what can you see? And our students at this age, they'd be about 10 or 11 for Level 5, they'd say, I see a key, me too. I see a pillow, me too. Or they'll just read it, I see olives, me too. I see a comb, me too. Finish, teacher. And they're really not communicating, they're just going through and getting the task done. And I don't think that that's as social as it could be. And the reason why I say pay attention to the teacher's book is if I look at the teacher's notes for this, what it wants or what it suggests that we do, again, you don't have to do it, it's just a suggestion, but what it suggests us to do is choose an object in the classroom, for example, a crayon, and say, I can see something beginning with a C. What can it be? And then different learners guess. And as they're guessing, you write it on the board, even if it's wrong, so that they can see, the way the word looks and the way that language works, and so that they can see that somebody else has said it. And then maybe they finally get it right and you say, yes, it is. And then you give them a chance to play the same game in small groups for 5 minutes. It's not a win or lose game. It's not a game for points, but it's a chance to be sociable. It's just a chance to kind of, some lighthearted fun with friends, not for high stakes points, but to be sociable. And then ask learners to cover the word box, put them into pairs to guess what each photo is, and encourage them to use the language in the speak bubble. That's how we can lead in. And it's a sociable lead in, and it's a way of having fun. It may not be, like I said, playing a game fun, and not all of your learners will love it, but some of them will, because they want to talk to their friends. They want to be sociable. Another thing are these things like board games, or this is a page from the book, but I could adapt this and make it into a board game to where maybe my fast finishers, if I want them to do something, I could give this to them and some dice and a token and have them start on what can you cook, and have them roll the dice and have them go around and ask and answer questions to each other and have them listen to each other. It's just a great idea to have some social fun, not where the teacher's looking at you to say right or wrong, but where they can work with each other and take care, like I said, for those mixed ability activities and be sociable with some of these type of board game activities. So that's the first idea, is that we can have some sort of sociable fun. A second idea is to plan for what we call contentment fun. Now, it's not the exact opposite, but it's different from sociable fun. If anybody said that they liked gardening, I would consider that a type of contentment fun. If anybody said that they liked reading the research like I do, for me, that's a contentment sort of fun. It's not sociable, it's not energetic, but I just feel good when I do it. I like listening to podcasts. That's contentment fun for me. And one of the things that I really like about Fun Skills, or things that I want to bring into young learners' classrooms, even if you don't use Fun Skills a little bit more, is this idea with songs. I love using action songs and doing things like TPR and head and shoulders, knees and toes, but sometimes songs can just be songs and they can be used for contentment. And I really love this song. This song comes from Fun Skills. And what I like about it is it's not an action song. It is just kind of a laid back song. I want to play you a little bit of it right now.
Can you tell me your favorite color? Which places would you like to see? What's your favorite subject? What do you want to be? Are you happy? Are you sad? Has your day been good or bad? Which songs can you sing? Oh, tell me everything. Can you tell me your favorite movie? Which games do you like to play? What's your favorite book to read? And what's your dream holiday? Are you happy? Are you sad? Has your day been good or bad? Which songs can you sing? Oh, tell me everything.
I'm going to stop it there, but I hope you like that song too. And I hope that you liked it, not because, like I said, it's big, actiony, head and shoulders sorts of things. And yes, it hits the language. And yes, we could have them shout out their favorite subject or their favorite things. But what I really like about that song is the chorus, the "Are you happy? Are you sad?" For me, this is a song that if I were teaching with Fun Skills, I might start my class with this quite often and just check in to see how learners are feeling today, because this idea of contentment, it's sometimes just being aware of our emotions and aware of how we're feeling around us. And so I just really I just really think that it's a good addition and a good thing to remember about the songs that we bring into classroom. Planning for contentment has different aspects to it. In some countries, there's a lot of social and emotional learning in their syllabus, which I think is great. If not, bring it in sometimes. These ideas of mindfulness and gratefulness. A great activity that I like is 3 good things, where learners can just write down 3 things that went well during the day or during the week and briefly describe the reason. And the reason step is critical, as it requires more genuine thought than just writing down things. So being grateful, being content, again, it's not the get your heart racing type of fun, but for some of our learners, I can tell you that I, as a child, this was the type of learner that I was. I liked reflecting. I liked thinking about how I was. Is it the majority of our students? Maybe not, but is it some? Sure. And we need to make sure that we're finding everybody's idea of fun, and being grateful and being mindful is there. The way that I really was this learner is I really liked to color when I was a kid. I liked to be assigned a task and get to invent and create. And so even if I'm at a lower level, like on Fun Skills Level 1, planning for contentment involves planning activities where students get a chance to personalize and be themselves, like who they are, and celebrate their uniqueness. So, here's where they have studied about robots, and then they designed their own robot. After they designed it, they write it, and we can compare the robots, but this robot is of themselves. It comes from them. And after they do it, again, they don't get points for the robot. It's not something they did sociable, but they get a feeling of when they've done it. And that's a type of fun, when they're proud of something they've created. Look, I think that there are many things that we can do to bring contentment into the young learner's classroom. Extensive reading is one of them. Reading for pleasure, where students have a choice of the books that they can read. Reading, where the reading is a little bit lower than the level they're actually at. So they're reading for meaning, and that they can actually enjoy the reading and understand it. I think that, finishing a good book and having time in class for that can be there. A lot of times we reward good behavior with games. Why can't we reward good behavior with time to read? Just think about it. Just listening to songs like we did, with the choice to sing it or not. Not every song has to be active. I love active songs, but I love songs that, cool us down, to get us to mellow, that get us to think. As he's saying, are you happy? Are you sad? Think about that. How would you answer him? Activities related to individual uniqueness, with very young learners as I taught. I always love doing things with handprints or fingerprint art. Handwriting, have somebody write something and don't put their name on it. And can we guess whose handwriting it is? Or these days in teaching online, having interview some students individually and record their voices and see if the other students can guess who it is from their voice, and letting students know that their voice matters and is important. These are all things that help learners identify themselves and deal with their emotions. They give them the language to communicate and the space to feel them. And for some, that can be fun. Just letting students color what they want and how they want it in some free time can be so relieving. But we fill up the curriculum with so much. We have to learn the grammar. We have to do this. After we have them match the red hat and the yellow scarf, can we just give them 5 minutes just to color the rest of the picture any way that they want? For some of our students, that's really fun. And one of the things I also love to do to calm my students down that they actually enjoyed was have them notice spaces. Can you see something? What I want you to do right now, and I want you to use the chat box, I want you to look around either your classroom or your room or your house, and I want you to notice something that maybe you didn't see yesterday. Just have a good look around. Maybe it's I just noticed a bug on one of my paintings there. I probably need to clean that. Yeah, I didn't notice that yesterday. In the chat box, just have a good look around. Can you just see something that maybe you didn't notice yesterday? Maybe it was always there. Your children's toys. I think that's great. Yeah, have a look around. What else? Anything else that you can see that maybe you didn't notice yesterday? They may have been there yesterday, but you didn't notice them. Used bottle. Yeah. Just being aware of your surroundings and being able to name things. It may not be fun for everybody, but it's fun for some. All right, moving on. Idea number 3 on our third type of fun and some activities that can kind of go with it. Plan for achievement. Sylvia, I could hear the rain. Yeah, if it's something you can't see, what can you hear? What can you do? That's amazing in the class. That's a good way to get them with some silence. And some of our learners really connect with that. We'll come to that in a second, especially when we talk about the 4th type of fun. But I want to talk about the 3rd type of fun, which is planning for achievement, planning for accomplishment, that a feeling of something was hard, but I did it. And I think that when it comes to planning for achievement, it's our job as a teacher to plan to make sure that when we're setting a task or an activity, that it's a balance between challenge and support. It's not so easy that they get bored, like I can do this, teacher, but it's not so challenging that they're like, it's too hard, that we find that level that's right between challenge and support. And these are the things that at first they'll complain about. The crossword, it's so hard, teacher. Can you just tell me the answer to number 4? I don't know. And we tell them, try. And then they figure it out and they're like, I did it. That's a type of fun, that I did it fun. One of the things that I think that is involved with achievement is, if you're familiar with Carol Dweck and her idea of growth mindset, making sure that our language is clear in the classroom, that we change can't to can't yet and no to not yet. So if a student says, oh, teacher, is it correct? Don't say, no, it's not. Say, not yet, which, gives that idea that they can go back and check it again. Or, teacher, I can't do this. I want my students to say, I can't do it yet, because I'm going to work with you until you can, so that we turn these negatives into positives. And we have this idea that success is possible. These are some real things we can do with our language, and we insist that our learners say it. Another thing is when we bring in stories in our classrooms, to make sure that we're finding stories that exemplify values and patience and hard work being rewarded. That our stories reflect the values that we want them to see. And since, a lot of Cambridge is about Cambridge exams, I think that one of the things we have to be careful about as teachers is to make sure that we're setting up the exam as an achievement. At this age, exams themselves should be motivating. I like to tell my students that the exams were a chance to show off what they know, and we're practicing in class so that they can show off to the examiner. We need to make sure that when we're doing exam practice in class, that when we say this is like what's going to be on the test, and we're doing this so that you can show that examiner how good you are, that's a better positive attitude and this idea of achievement than, now the tests can be very difficult. A lot of people find this hard. So listen, we want to make sure that when we're giving ideas about the exam and exam preparation courses, that we're using the exam to give confidence. And we can do that by planning for achievement and not fear. How do we do that? I think one thing that we can do is a use of checklists. Have students go back on things after they've seen something. This is a checklist again from Fun Skills. After they've done the activity, then they go back and check themselves. Did you do this? Did you do this? And they can go back and kind of go, ooh, and see, and kind of peer check. This is an idea of achievement, being better than you were the last time. Getting this idea that we don't need to be perfect immediately. We just want to be better than we were before. And I think the review sections, of course books, they tend to be used just as tests and scores. But if we use them correctly, they really can be feelings of achievement. And when it comes to practical ideas, some things that I like to do, make a me board. Have all the students keep a me board where they can write down vocabulary and phrases that they've learned in class that they liked. Maybe they like bananas and they don't like apples, so they can draw a banana or they can write banana, and it's something that reflects themselves. But at the end, it's something that they can see, yes, I've learned that. And it needs to be things that they learned in the unit, not something they liked already, because again, this is about achievement. So we can go back at the end of the unit and say, look at all that you've learned that you didn't know before. Look at how much you've gained. Another thing, encourage second attempts. Repeat the review sections, maybe not the next day, but just because the review sections are done doesn't mean that we can't go back and try to improve the score. One of the things that students like about gamification and the online games that we play is, if you're not successful right away, or you only get 2 out of 3 stars, you get a second chance to go back and get that 3rd star. Again, yeah, they don't get a repeat on the test, but this isn't the test, it's review. So if they want to try again, let them, but make it their choice. Don't force them. And then the last thing, which really worked for my young learners, and I have to tell you, I taught 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds, and I was surprised how well this worked. Let students keep a folder of work that they are proud of. It can include anything, but it needs to include things that they choose. And you need to explain this, even their first language. This is things that they're proud of. And it may be their highest scoring writing, or it could be a picture that they drew, like that robot that wasn't marked. But it's something that they have in a folder or a special place that they're proud of. And so that they get a chance to say, this is what I've achieved. These are practical ideas so that we can get that fun of achievement. It may not be fun while we're doing it, but we look back and we go, wow, look at what I did. And you better believe that students, that they respond to that. So idea 4, plan for sensory fun. And I think we know this especially for young learners, but even for our older young learners, the 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, we still like to use all our senses. I'm talking touch and taste and hearing and our eyes and trying to make sure that we're doing what we sometimes in the field call multimodal input. Utilizing videos and video stories, because when we get videos in, we're seeing the visual as well as the audio. We're getting our eyes and ears working at the same time. Bring in touch, tastes, and smells, and I'll talk about some practical ideas with that in a second. For me, one of the best things that worked for me was homemade Play-Doh. And there's so many recipes on the internet, just Google homemade Play-Doh. But you can make it, and you can make it in many colors. And the way that you can touch it with this texture, it was just so amazing. And there's so much you can do with it. You can play vocabulary games. Instead of drawing a banana, maybe they have to make a banana and have their friends guess. And so they grab the yellow Play-Doh and they're trying to make a banana or a pineapple, and they're sculpting it and they're making it real in 3 dimensions. And they're using the different colors. We can use homemade Play-Doh with storytelling. Maybe we try to make people out of them, or we make the background of stories. If we're going to have puppets in a castle, maybe we make the castle out of the Play-Doh, and we can really work together and do it. Again, props for role plays. If we're having students do role plays in the class and they need to give money or they need to do something, then we can make little Play-Doh money. The students' imagination will take it everywhere. We talked about board games before. I was always worried about students putting the markers in their mouth or anything like that. The Play-Doh, you can break it off off in different colors, and it can be ways that they can move the tokens around the board of a board game, and that way you're not worried if they lose it or choke on it or something like that. And even just stress balls, this is something we can do. What do you do when you're feeling anxious? Are you having a bad day? Do you want to squeeze the Play-Doh? Let it out. It's tied to the social emotional development, but we can actually squeeze it out. And as we squeeze, we smile. And one of my favorite games, what's in the box, where I take something like a banana or maybe something fuzzy like a peach or maybe some keys, and the students, they're blindfolded and they don't see what's in the box. But one at a time, they can come up and they can touch what's inside the box. And just using their hands, they have to try to guess what's in the box. And don't be mean. Don't put a cactus in it or a pineapple. But things like fruit, can they feel that it's an apple? Can they feel that it's keys? Can they feel that it's whatever it is? That's a great way to review vocabulary in a way that's not just flashcards or not just the things on the page, so that they can bring in the feeling and guessing what they think it is by how it feels. Another thing, and I'm kind of cheating here because it's not so much multisensory, but having them look at visuals of a story and make up their own, what their story is to themselves before they read it. Look at the pictures. You tell me the story. And again, it's not right or wrong. Maybe I, as the teacher, would say, I think I like your story better than the story that was in the book. But being able to look at the visual input and put that into audio words, that's a way to be multisensory. And again, I'm not going to show the video here, but fun skills, what I like about fun skills is the unit opener and the unit closer is usually done, well, it's always done with some sort of animation where the cartoon comes and takes them through. And this cartoon just has them ask, what's the longest word you know? And his is like strawberry. STRAWBERRY. But just the students, because the monster on the television or on the screen is asking it to them, you just get a different reaction because it has the visual input plus the audio input. They're interacting with that. If you can get videos or get puppets or things like that, it's a great way to get that multisensory input. And finally, our last idea number 5, is the energetic fun. This, I think, is what we think of when we think of fun in the classroom. And I like energetic fun. This is when they're loud. This is when they're playing the games. These two I got from worldofFun.cambridge.org. It's a free website. That's right, free. If you like free, can you write free in the chat box? Because I, as a teacher, I like free. If you like free, go ahead and write the word free in the chat box. Yeah, okay, I see it. Yeah, I do too. This is in the using animation booklet, because using the animation, we can also bring in games with it. It's not just doing what the animation says. And look at some of these games. Is this true for you? Say a list of statements. Learners say whether the statement is true for them. And they can show it in a variety of ways. If it's true for you, get up and change chairs and run around. If it's false, stay there. So I maybe say like, I like bananas. If it's true, everybody who likes bananas has to run around and find another seat. It's that energy that we have. Or race to the board, a team spelling game where the class is divided in 2 or 3 teams and each team number themselves in order. And they have an area to write on the board. And the first member of each team gets a board pen and you say the word and they race to the board. Again, we have to be careful sometimes with these team games that we're not setting up students just for, all the time to feel, oh, I'm not good in my team. We have to give support. But these individual team games are also fun as well. They're energetic and we can teach students to be supportive of their team members and say good job or good try or good effort in that language. A lot of games, I frequently get asked, do I have any favorite games? Or do I have any games that I would recommend? Or do I have any new games? And I don't like that question. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when you're teaching young learners, most of the games are new to them anyway. We have a tendency to let our own boredom of the games make us forget that children don't have that same boredom. If you've ever taught 7-year-olds or 8-year-olds, they can play Simon Says 300 times. It's us that gets bored, not them. So I don't think that it's about having 20 of the newest games. Some of these games are classics for a reason, but it's really about making sure that all of our games that we play are not always energetic games or competitive games. Because again, I was the kid that did not like these type of games in class. Some other types of energetic fun that maybe aren't competitive, loud and soft, have learners repeat the target language in whispers first. maybe we're doing the grammar, and then maybe we're doing and then maybe we're doing the grammar, and then maybe we're doing the grammar, and maybe we're doing the grammar. And I can, this is something I could do even online. If I'm teaching remotely, if I have it down here, then we talk like this, and we say, I like bananas. I like bananas. I like bananas. I like bananas. And this is good because changing from louder to softer, this would bring in, like me, the whispering really helps less confident learners. I know I seem like a shouting American now, but I used to be a quiety, whispery kid. My mom frequently asks, what happened to you? I don't know. But, it just really lets us be energetic, but also taking care of everyone in those types of fun. And also total physical response. And I put this one on here because, again, it's something we go to. But I want to make sure, like when I said songs, that I wasn't saying I didn't like Head and Shoulders, Knees and Toes. I like action songs. I like put your right hand in, put your right. I like them. But I also like songs for contentment. And I think that we can use songs for different ways in classrooms, not just to do the actions or sing along all the time. So we do need to plan for energetic fun as well. Practically speaking, what I would say is don't overdo energetic fun. When I observe teachers and I look at their lesson plans over the course, they do want to incorporate fun, but all of their games seem to be energetic fun. And I wonder if they're balancing the other types of fun activities. Not all of your students enjoy energetic fun, yet most teachers, when they ask for new ideas, are usually seeking this type of activities. I'm not saying that you need to use all of these ideas or these types of fun evenly, like 20% of the time. Yeah, I'm probably going to do energetic fun more. More learners are going to like it, but don't do them 100% of the time or even 90% of the time. We might be leaving some of the people out. I see in the comment, TPR is one of the best ways to teach young learners. It is some of the best ways to teach most young learners, but I would rather read out of a book. And I agree with you that TPR is great, but we need other techniques. We need other types of fun in our bag too. So I appreciate that comment. You're absolutely right. I totally agree with you. And it's not a but, it's an and. There's other things as well. Audit your activities. And by audit your activities, instead of trying to find more games, what I'd like for you to do is sometime today, make a list of the activities that you usually play in your classroom, the games that you play, the things that you bring in either from the book or on your own, and try to categorize them into one of these 5 types of fun. And see if you're being balanced or imbalanced. If you have no activities that are contentment type fun, maybe that's the type of activities that you need to search for. Look, we're not at a loss when it comes to Googling or finding webinars these days on types of activities. Maybe you look at some of the other catch-up fun webinars. And there's tons of activities. But what I think that you need to do, whether you're looking for a grammar activity or vocabulary activity, like my friend Nicholas is going to talk about on Thursday, it's about saying, what kind of fun is this? And have I done that type of fun too much this week? Don't try to fit all the types of fun in one lesson. It's impossible. Just make sure over the course of a week or two that each type of fun gets in there, that we have the energetic time, but we have the silent time, the silent reading time for fun for our learners, because some learners actually do like that library book and they like having time to read it. And you might say, some of my learners are bored, but I have to tell you, some of your learners are bored playing that game where they're lined up waiting to grab the marker to go to the whiteboard. We're not going to please everybody all the time. So we need to make sure that we're giving variety so that we please everyone at least once a week. And make sure that you don't let your own ideas or memories of what was fun for you getting in the way. I made this mistake. This is from me. I used to think I thought this was fun, therefore all children think it's fun. I probably overdid silent reading when I was teaching the 6-year-olds or 7-year-olds because I was projecting myself on them. So really do your best to try to be objective. Look at who reacts to what kind of fun. Look to see who the people who are like that feeling of contentment or like coloring. And maybe let some play a sociable game while others just color and differentiate our types of fun. That's okay too in the class. And remember to incorporate reflection into your lessons. Achievement and contentment may not be fully realized to your learners if we just stop at the grade. Those ideas of contentment and achievement fun, that comes from reflection. That comes from the teacher having them notice what they did, or if they are teaching a pride folder, going back and looking at it, or if they are teaching, if we're having them keep the words that they really liked, have them look at it at the end of the unit review where they've done 1 or 2 units and say, again, look at how much you've learned. What's your favorite thing that you've learned over the past 2 weeks? Let them see, make learning visible, and see how much that they have learned. It can be so rewarding and so motivating. So those were the 5 types of activities. I tried to give practical examples, but basically I think our goal as a teacher is to try to fit our activities into these types of fun. Now, some activities may fit into more than one type. They may hit 2 of them at the same time. That's fine. This isn't like direct colors of like, this one's like red and yellow and red. This one's like a rainbow. Some of them merge into each other. You know, sociability and energetic could run into each other with an activity, and that's fine. The point is making sure that we're trying to hit all 5 different types of fun in our lessons when we plan. I've made a mistake here though. I've left out the vowels of these. I'm wondering if in the chat box, just to recap, if you could write all of these types of fun that we had again. I see Maria's in there. I see Noor's in there. Yeah, it's written down. What were the types of fun that we can have? I see Maria. Thank you so much, Hesty. I see you. Achievement. Yeah, you all are doing great. The types of fun and the types of activities that we want to bring in, all of them are types of fun. All of them are types of fun to some of our learners. Sociability, contentment, achievement, the sensory fun, the touching and smelling, and you know, and I forgot to say, when I made Play-Doh, sometimes I put like oils in it, like orange oil or lavender oil, so that the Play-Doh actually smelled, and you know, we'd make flowers out of the smelly Play-Doh. That could work. You know, sensory fun, really getting in there, and of course, energetic fun. That's the type 2. Again, if you like one more than the other 4, that's great. And if your students like one more than the other 4, that's great. But to make sure that all learners are enjoying the lesson, let's try to make sure that we're doing all the types of fun. That's it for me. We're going to turn it over to a question and answer session. If you want to go ahead and type your questions in the Q&A box, I know that we're going to have some time to answer it in a second. But for right now, Yvonne, I'll turn it back over to you. So thank you very much for your time. Yvonne, over to you.
Thank you very much, Alan. I think all of us as teachers, as educators, anybody involved in the education process, we are absolutely keen to involve fun in our classrooms. And what I'm really grateful to Alan is that he has given us a much clearer idea of what fun actually is. It's very rare that we think through the different aspects of fun. And as Alan said, we can often fall into the trap of just considering what we thought was fun rather than what may be fun for all students. And what I'd like to very briefly do then, whilst I give you some time to put some questions in the Q&A box, I'd just like to quickly mention some of the materials that you might find helpful when teaching students at this range. Alan used a lot of materials, or he drew some examples from our Fun Skills series. This is a 6-level series that is specifically designed to help students and to prepare students for the pre-A1 starter exams, the A1 movers and the A2 flyers, the Cambridge English qualifications. These are full of activities that are skills-based, topic-led lessons, and they're particularly designed to help create interaction between students and to help critical and creative thinking. There are also a lot of animations, and I think that you saw Alan just briefly show you one of the characters that introduces some of the different themes throughout the 6 skills, the 6-level series. And Fun Skills is an absolutely fantastic set of materials for you. If you do want any more information, please do visit our website, www.cambridge.org, or contact your local Cambridge representative. Something else that I'd like to mention, for those of you preparing students for the pre-A1 starters, A1 movers, or A2 flyers, is these 3 books here, which are our mini trainers. They have been specifically set up with 2 practice tests and a lot of guidance to help students understand and feel comfortable with the different exams that we have. Not only that, but also, we won't have time to do this now, but it is on the recording. And in about a week's time, you will receive a link to the recording and your certificate. Feel free to check out the QR code, and this will show you a great example and guide through of how the exams are. This is great for parents to understand what their own children will be doing during the exams, and maybe to help parents guide their children when they're studying at home. And finally, Alan also talked about World of Fun. We know that everybody loves free, and the World of Fun is absolutely free. You have worksheets, so many different worksheets that you can get that help students practice the vocabulary and grammar that they need at the young levels, the young ages. And they also introduce all of the different characters from the series. That's what you can see on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, though, of the screen, you'll see all of the different posters. And those posters are all downloadable, and you can use those to increase and make your classroom and your classroom space a lot more colorful. In the middle of the screen, you'll see there that we have so many resources that are associated with the World of Fun. When I say so many resources, all of the different webinars that we have put up in the past. We have videos, we have stories, we have flashcards, we have articles all related to the teaching of young learners. So there is a wealth of materials for you. And as Alan said, everybody does love free. So please do go there to worldoffun.cambridge.org. I would also like to let you know that later on today, in a few hours' time, we will see 5 ideas to get young learners thinking about pronunciation by Jane Ritter. That will be at 10 a.m. Central European time and 4 p.m. Central European time. But if you want to see something at the same time as this, then please do know that we will have another session on Thursday at exactly the same time as this presentation here. 5 fun ideas to make your vocabulary jump out of the page to young learners with Nicholas Mayfield. On that note, though, let's go back to the questions. If I could switch over to Alan to share his screen, and then I'll post some of the questions that we have from the Q&A box.
Yes, unfortunately, Yvonne, it's saying that I cannot share the screen while other participants are sharing because I need to be the host there real quick.
No problem. That's not a problem at all. I can see the Q&A box from here.
Okay, great.
Many questions that we saw in the Q&A box were actually related to setting up games for remote learning. And in one particular case, how do you deal with having remote learning on games with a single student? And in another case, how do you deal with games when the class as a whole is very passive?
So let's take those one at a time. I think that there are some, if I'm teaching a single student, there are some amazing websites out there that are kind of linked to, teaching students really one-on-one. And I think that one of the things that the teacher can do is be a coach in that. One that's not a Cambridge website that I love greatly for young learners is called Teacher Monster to Read. And like I said, it's meant, I think it's teachermonstertoread.com. I'm not sure. If you just Google Teacher Monster to Read, love it. Now, again, it's meant for a learner to be played by themselves without supervision. But I think turning it over to the learner, letting them play with you over the shoulder. Sometimes learners, they really like to play the game with somebody watching and have them tell you what they're doing. Yvonne, you're smiling. Maybe you have this experience with some of your children or something like that. But, children like to be watched playing games. And it's not universal, but it tends to be more true than not. So just giving them that audience to work through and let them talk through what they're doing. Yvonne, you can speak up. Is there a reason you're grinning like that?
No, I totally agree with you. Absolutely yeah. Agree. Totally agree.
So that's it. Now, the other thing with passive, if you're saying it's passive, I would say, are you trying to do the wrong kind of fun at the wrong time? I don't want energetic fun if I'm just coming back from recess. Maybe I want a different kind of fun. Maybe I want, a chance to draw. Maybe I would have them, work together in a group and have them think about what game they want to play at the end of class. That's a little bit of sociable fun where they make a decision. And then they tell you as the teacher, and then they're in control of it. Now, when it comes, like I said, to teaching remotely, some of the games we can still do. Some of the games can use the things that are in their own house. We can do scavenger hunts. We can do treasure hunts. Find me something soft. And then who can be the first person that comes back and does it? And, that can be a way to do energetic fun. There are ways of getting around teaching remotely. What we have to do is really, when we look at a game, we can't say, "Ooh, I really want to play it. I wish I could, but I can't." Again, we have to look at what we can do first and then say, what do I do to make that happen? Basically, when I am looking at what I can do when I'm teaching remotely, I try to remember one thing, and it's not so practical, it's theoretical, but it helps me and hopefully it will help you. Remember that you're attempting to go through the screen, not to the screen. And so, it's just really important that I'm using the names, that I'm asking them to do things, that I'm acknowledging, like I did with Yvonne, his grin, his smile, that I'm seeing the humanness in them. And then when I want to play the game, if it's Simon Says, that they know that I'm watching. If they can't have their videos on, then maybe it's, shouting out, their favorite fruit, 1, 2, 3, and then having it all be, I heard banana, I heard pear, who said that? Maybe it's, like I said, recording voices and then playing it back later and saying, who is that? Can you guess who it is? And seeing if the person can even recognize their own voice. There's ways to have fun that aren't games. You know what I'm saying? So, we tend to think that fun and games are the same. Games hopefully are fun, but there are ways of having fun besides just games, and that's important too. And my goal is to make sure we're having fun in the classroom, not that we're playing a game every day. I hope that answered the question, Yvonne. I think we need to, I could talk on it for hours, so we'll go to the next one.
Okay, I think we do not have a great deal of time, but there are two questions that I would like to pose to you. There are two questions in the Q&A box that may have come from the same user. It looks like an anonymous user, but an anonymous attendee, sorry. And the question is, how do we cope with the negative effects of games? Someone's treasure could be another's pressure. Some students might be having difficulty to accept their loss in a game. How should we handle this? I think that this is a very, very interesting question. You talked also about the issues of competitive games and how that can impact people and not wanting people to be part of the losing team, or even not feel that they want to be included in any team. Is there anything that you can do as a teacher to try to understand when competitive games would be good, and when, or with which people or which groups or with which students you shouldn't be so competitive?
Before I ever played any competitive game with any class, I always made sure that they knew that losing was not the end. You have to set up the idea of, what it means to lose and how to be a gracious loser, and the language that they need to tell each other, even if you do not get the first place. We need to be saying, like, did you try your best? Well, then you did a good job. And really making sure that we're praising the effort and not the outcome. And we want to make sure that we teach our learners to say, if you gave your best, maybe you didn't win the trophy, but maybe next time you will. If you gave your best, that's all you could do, and being okay with it. It sounds like a very adult concept, but students are ready for it, and it's a good lesson to learn. Now, the other thing when it comes to competitive games is making sure that, like I said, we're not bringing them in too much, or that we have chances for students to have support in it. Before they go up, can they talk to their teammates? Can they get something? Can they make it more of a team ownership than just an individual representing the team? I think that that's something that we need to do in some of the games we play as well. Making sure that the team during the game is supporting them, saying good answer, good answer, good answer, that's going on, even if it's not, so that the student feels uplifted. That's it. But the negative benefits really come from when we make too much out of the prizes, when we let the winners have special recess or anything like that. It should be, if you did win the game, great, you won, but big deal. The thing I would also say that's different about like rewards when I gave, I know I talk too much and this is tangential, but one of the things about the rewards that I gave as a teacher, I only rewarded with like fun things, the behavior I wanted, never winning or never getting the question right. It's easy to get the right answer. And if you got the wrong answer, great, I'm a teacher, I'm here to make you better. What I reward with gifts and games and extra points are things like getting to your seat on time or lining up quietly. That's the things we reward, not winning a game. So that I don't know, again, if that answered the question briefly with a few ideas. But what I would say is Google cooperative versus competitive games with young learners, and you'll find a whole bunch of tips. But a lot of times on the internet, good ideas are out there. We just don't know what to Google. The thing to Google is cooperative versus competitive. And Noor has it exactly right. She says teaching behavior is also needed. Teaching the behavior, absolutely, Noor, I agree with you, but also modeling the behavior ourselves, making sure that they're going to look at us as teachers as the example as well. So maybe I play a game against the whole class. I've done this before, and I set it up to where I lose. And I model what I'm like, oh, well, I didn't win, but you all did great, and model what it's like to be a good loser. That's a good way to start that as well. So that's my idea. I'm going to see. Yeah, I don't know how we're doing on time. I think Yvonne's probably saying.
We're a little bit over. We're a little bit over, but we're not being kicked out of Zoom yet. So I think I'll ask one final question, and then we'll bring the session to a close then. I see a question here from Jodie Patterson, which I think is quite interesting. She said that I'm aware and concerned about overstimulation, so I'm careful about where I put each activity into lesson. Do you have any suggestions with keeping the lesson on track after big fun activities? And I'm sure this is something that impacts anybody that has done any kind of activity that really raises the energy level in the classroom, that suddenly you find that whatever you do after that isn't going to be as interesting as what you did. And how do you mediate that change in attitude or the change in energy in the room with your classes as you try to bring them back to focus on something different?
A good teacher of young learners has twice as many cool down activities as they do energetic activities. Now, a couple of things that I did in my class, just after we did it, I do some things like, okay, I'm going to hum, and I want everybody to try to match my note. And it just gets everybody on the same page, focused on the same thing at the same time. Things like if you can hear my voice clap once, if you can hear my voice clap 3 times. And something that I like too is, starting out loud and then go softer and say, let me hear you say yay, 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 yay. Let me hear you say yay, 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 yay. And then if that didn't work, one of my favorite chants and if you've been to one of my sessions, I do this even with teachers. Everybody, hands on your head, hands on your head, hands on your head. Yvonne, hands on your head, hands on your head, hands on your head. There you go. That's right. Hands on your knees, hands on your knees, hands on your knees, hands on your knees. That's right. Cross your arms and listen, please. And there's something about that movement, the thing, and then they just know that that's their time to calm down. So having a lot of things in your, just Google some cooling activities. Those are things that I like. But you're right, there is a shift. After we do it, we can't just expect them to open their books to page 5 and go. So we've got to have the transition. And I think that, harnessing that energy and then bringing it down and calming, we can do that. So another thing that I like to do, just one more extra for free, and then we'll go, I promise. I like to have like a call out, and I change the call out every week. So maybe I say class and they say yes, or I say holy and they say guacamole, or maybe I say, to infinity and they say and beyond, and I just keep on doing it until I get them all on the same page. And that's the way that I get the group to help me get all the group together. And then we can say deep breath in and back down. So that's it. So thank you all very much. I hope you found those useful and practical. But most of all, I hope that when you are planning your lessons, you concentrate and look and say, what kind of fun am I having? Do I have the right balance? That's what I'm hoping you got out of today. So thank you very much. Thank you, Melissa and Phyllis, for being in the chat box. And thank you, Yvonne, for moderating. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Alan. I hope you found this talk as interesting and inspiring as I did, and I hope that it has given you a whole load of ideas for your classes today, tomorrow, and beyond, to infinity and beyond, in fact. If we could show our appreciation for Alan, if you could just type one final clap in the chat box, that would be great. You could show a nice round of applause for Alan.
Thank you all. Thank you for the kind words.
Thank you all very much for joining us today. As I said, there are further seminars over the course of today and also on Thursday. If this is the perfect time for you, then we will be doing another one at the same time on Thursday. On that note, thank you very much and goodbye.